Hello YouTube, Canadian Edge here, and today I'm doing something a little different. I wanted to do a quick comparison on a couple of the knives that I've reviewed before. We have in front of us the CRKT CEO original and the CRKT CEO flipper. And so this was the original that came out first, and it's a popular little knife. And then they decided to come out with the flipper, and now they have the compact version, and you can get a variety of different versions. But I just wanted to do a quick little comparison and show you what's changed and what's kind of stayed the same, and how these two measure up to each other. So first off, the original is a thumb stud opening, and the flipper, of course, is a flipper opening. And so the original is slightly smaller than what the flipper version is. It's got a blade length of 3.11 inches, overall length of 7.63, and closed it is 4.45 inches. And the flipper, it is 3.35 inches, 7.69 inches open, and 4.35 inches closed. So a little bit longer in the blade. I don't know if you can see that, but it has just a slight little bit of length in the blade as compared to, now it doesn't really show on my video. It's a slight bit of length on the flipper. The steel on the original CEO, it is 8CR 13 MOV, and on the flipper it is AUS 8. Both of them have the glass reinforced nylon handles. I like the pattern on the original a little better, but compared to the flipper. But that's another point later on. The weight is 2.1 ounces on the original and 1.9 ounces on the flipper. So a little less weight on there. And of course they both have the IKBS ball bearing system in the pivots. The pocket clips on them, this one, it is right hand carry, tip down. And so it has a little longer pocket clip on it. This one, it is a reversible tip up. And so you can see you just undo the screw, flip it over to the other side, excuse me, and it becomes a left-hand carry. And then with the flip, it makes it ambidextrous, as opposed to the thumb stud, which you can't open, well, unless you're tricky. But you can't open it properly with your left hand. So it is a right hand carry. They're both liner lock, and of course this is thumb stud and this is flipper. And so I really like the aesthetics myself of the original. As I said, I like the pattern on the original. It almost has a carbon fiber look to it, where this is kind of a plain look on the flipper. And that's just my preference. It makes it, I find that the original is slightly grippier. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. But they both have good grip on them. And I like the ergonomics on them. The ergonomics are very similar for both of them, of course, because they are very similar knives. Whoops, if you get your finger out of the way. The ergonomics are very much alike on that. The pivots are both smooth, and I find that there's a little bit easier access to the liner lock on the original CEO. So that's a nice thing. You like to be able to get to the liner lock easy. But I do like the flipper. Flipper, of course, makes it ambidextrous. And if you can see on here, the thumb stud's not always that easy to get to, and people with big hands might find this hard to flip open because you want to get your fingers in the way. Unfortunately, just the way you have to hang onto this one to flip it open, so it's not always the easiest to flip open. And it can be a little bit hard to deploy or awkward to deploy. But I do like the way they've made the original. Looks a little more compact, put together. The way they finished off, they brought the liners all the way to the end there, where on the flipper the liners stop back behind the pivot. So I just kind of like the finish more with that. It looks a little more professional, just in my opinion. And you will notice on here too that the tang is a little bit longer on the original than on the flipper. Not that that matters at all. But I just, as far as dislike, I find it a little awkward to do the flipper, and I find too that the knife turns in my hand. Those of you with the flipper, you can tell me if you have the same problem or if it's just me. It could be just me. But it flips open nice. Everybody thinks it's assisted opening when they try it. But I do find that once you get on to the flipper, it works a lot easier. Although the first few times that I did the flipper, you have to get the technique just right. You kind of push down and in, and so you can't really just kind of flick it. You have to be pushing down and in, and it goes quite well. So the first few times that I tried with the flipper, it was kind of awkward as well, but once you're onto it, it works fine. Same with the thumb stud. Once you're onto it, it works fine. I just get that twist though when I flip it open, just because of how it's held. So that might be a bit of a deal breaker for some people. If you have big hands too, you might find it hard to get to the thumb stud as well, because it doesn't stick up very much. But they both fit in the pocket fantastic. They fit well, and you hardly notice them in your pocket. So they're very much similar, but still have some differences. And operational wise, either one of them work great. Operation, to use them, they work really good. I just prefer the aesthetics of the original as opposed to the flipper, but I do find the flipper a little easier to deploy. So that's me, and that's my opinion. Hope that was helpful for some of you, because I know some people have asked about them, and so I thought I would make this to try and help your decision be a little easier on which one might work for you. All right, thank you for joining me on this. I'll be doing a review again in a few days. Until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.